And again, we don't have to start immediately now that it's recording because I can always just chop off the beginning. So that's fine.
Oh, Jaron, don't do that. I just take it from the recording. Now you're forcing me to edit. Now I don't have to edit when you just do it regular. I just grab it where we start. Yeah, like
let me start another.
I'll have to go in and edit audio now because now Jared's like, "Oh, you don't got to start winning because we can do this." Jesus Christ! You see something on Jason? You see this?
You need me to end broadcast and start another one?
No, we're good. We're good because I'm gonna keep all this in the audio, guys. Welcome to another N-Word for Nerd podcast. I am your host, Corny J, or should I say Lazy J, non-edit J. Not trying to deal with none of that J. And I'm here with my co-host as always, the Duke of all nerds, Jason number A. Jason, what's going on?
What's up? I'm glad I didn't volunteer to edit anything.
And yes, I'm here with the number one editor on our team, on our squad. We call him the token because we also unlocks the ability for us not to edit, but also allows us to get the white perspective on things that, probably we shouldn't hear from white folks about. But Jared, what's going on?
Hey, what's happening, man?
Yes, I got somebody that called me and was like, "Hey, is he saying Medea wrong, or is this just like a gag?" I said, "Nah, he always says Medea. I just never corrected him."
We just let him slide.
It was never my place. I'm glad Jason
got a phone call about that. I'm gonna lock it up.
His grandma called him like, "Yo, we gotta correct him."
Don't at me, bro.
So, starting off our top three, which is always themed in honor of Space Jam 2, the new Legacy, we are doing our top three on pro athletes turn actors. So let's start off with number three. Let's go on. I'm gonna start with number three because I usually let you all start first. My number three is going to be Ed O'Neill. Yes, he signed with the Steelers briefly and got cut. That's Al Bundy for people that don't know him, and for I can't think of his character, Modern Family, but
he's the dad.
He has been in movies. He has been in cinema. But Ed O'Neill, he played for the Steelers for 3 days before he got cut. I'm going Ed O'Neill as my number three athlete turned actor. Because if he didn't get cut, he would have never became an actor. Jason number A, what is your thoughts on that and your number three?
I feel like that's cheating. Then when that opens up John Krasinski played high school football, so
pro. It's gotta be pro.
But my number three, and I hope this is okay because this is a pro. He's a pro athlete. I'm gonna say Hulk Hogan, Terry the Hulk.
Okay.
Hogan.
Yeah.
All right. He was the quintessential first wrestler to turn, and this is probably going to be telling onto my other pick. First pro wrestler to turn actor, and he had several string of movies that I enjoyed as a kid. So Terry the Hulk Hogan would be my number three pick.
He did quiet those gremlins down in the movie theater when they were wrecking it in Gremlins 2.
That's true. And Jason number 8 definitely can't date his daughter, and he probably would call you the N-word, but very, very good choice for number 3.
I watched that TV show. No, thank you. Don't want to be a part of that family at all.
Yeah, also, that daughter, man, talk about a mannish woman.
Let's go on to number 3 for Jaron.
All body types are acceptable here, Jaron.
Thank you.
My number 3 started his career as a linebacker at San Diego State and was an Oakland Raider, Mr. Carl motherfucking Weathers.
Hey, a great one. Good choice.
Yeah.
All right.
See, always picking up these deep cut black choices over here, Jaron. I really feel.
I know. How's Carl Weathers deep cut? Come on, man.
Many people don't know who Carl Weathers is.
I grew up in the 80s.
That's true. That's true.
Unless you're a super Predator fan.
Predator.
Yeah. My number 2 is going to be the guy who won up Hulk Hogan. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is my number 2 for pro athletes turned actors. Not for his time at the University of Miami, but his time as a professional wrestler in the WWE F/E at that point. So yes, he's the number 1 grossing movie star right now in America, which is a funny thing because let's be completely honest, none of his movies really are that good. So the fact that he's made it this far on subpar movies is very, very good.
The Rundown was amazing.
Yeah.
Stop it, guys. Stop it, guys.
Stop it.
We're not going to do this. We're not going to do it. Again, for the number 1 actor in the business.
Jumanji was amazing. All right.
Yeah, hold on. Talk about. So we're going to say that these 4 movies you're going to name is enough to make him the number 1 grossing actor in the game right now. Is that what we're going to say?
Okay.
Over other guys that make great movies.
Well, my number 2, because I asked the question, is bodybuilding considered a sport? And you guys said yes. So I'm gonna go with Arnold Schwarzenegger. From the 80s and 90s, you couldn't get away from Arnold Schwarzenegger. So, and despite some of his let's say problematic recent history as being the governor of Republican governor, he's still down for environmental regulations. So I'm good with that. But Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator 2, the last
I'm
action hero.
More shocked that he's your number 2. So I'm really waiting to see what your number 1
my number 1 is going to be. Never mind.
I don't think it's.
I lost you for a section of that. Completely lost you. So I heard Arnold Schwarzenegger.
His number 2 is Arnold. Jared, what's your number 2?
My number 2 played for almost a decade for the likes of Chelsea, Leeds, United, and Wimbledon. It is Vinnie Jones.
I knew it. Why did I not know this?
Vinnie Jones. I told you it was number 2 when we were talking earlier.
I called it out. That he's going to pick some soccer footballer.
Listen, it's more popular than football if you consider the populace of the world, not just Americans.
Which, as an American,
the world doesn't stop on the East and West Coast here, my guys. Come on.
The world does stop. There's nothing beyond the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean.
I'm going to side with the Duke on that one. I mean, I already buried my lead. My number 1 is Arnold Schwarzenegger. So let's just fast forward past.
So we just switched our team
to Jason, the Duke of all nerds. What is your number 1? If
my number 1 is The Rock.
2? Oh my God, Jesus Christ!
My number 1 is The Rock.
Hold on, so you put The Rock over a guy that has multiple classic movies with a guy that maybe has 1 or 2, maybe.
The Rock. Every time you see The Rock in a movie, you're like, I'm going to enjoy this movie, even if it's a terrible movie. The Rock brings so much life and energy to the movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger can never do. All right, The Rock saves franchises. Okay,
I think we're officially done here for this show. I think we should never record ever again. Did you just hear the words out of you that Arnold doesn't? You know what?
Arnold doesn't save franchises. He's no. Jaron, what are you going to say?
My number 1 played with Warren Sapp on the Hurricanes, got injured, and was a WWE star. It is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
See, thank you, Jaron. Insane.
I
definitely won this one because you guys are insane.
I have an honorable.
That is the most. His popularity made him a Republican congressman because he was so fucking popular. Like, I'm not
denying that Arnold Schwarzenegger, he is my number 2 pick, but The Rock is just more like this is. I guess for me, it's more. How is The Rock? I enjoy watching Arnold? The Rock more.
Okay, so all right, what has The Rock made better than Terminator?
Nothing.
Terminator.
What has The Rock made better than Terminator 2?
Nothing.
What has The Rock made better than True Lies?
You
better stop it. You better stop it.
The Rundown.
You were smoking the biggest crack. The biggest pipe.
Because the lead fucking girl in
fuck out of here. We're not talking about
Jamie Lee.
Fugly.
Look,
worst haircut.
Look,
I enjoy watching The Rock. He does his thing very well. Not saying that Arnold Schwarzenegger doesn't do his thing. I enjoy watching The Rock more than I enjoy watching Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Hell, I wouldn't go as far as Conan 1. There's nothing The Rock has done better than Conan 1.
There's plenty of things better than Conan 1.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Stop it.
Conan 1.
Dude, Jumanji is better than Conan 1.
That is
Conan 1.
Utterly false.
Yeah.
Fast fuck. Oh God, you guys. You know what?
The second G.I. Joe movie is better than Conan.
Oh, you are smoking so much reefer right now. You guys are high off your fucking minds. I don't even got to do it. We could probably just look at Rotten Tomatoes. They would probably clap all you guys for this. This is, you know what?
There's a reason why The Rock is the highest grossing actor pretty much of all time.
Yes, and like I said, I think it's completely based off charisma. And my great argument was he doesn't. Rock is probably 1 good movie out of 4, maybe one good movie out of 4.
I would say 2 out of 4.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, that's a damn lie. That's a damn lie. You guys, you know what?
I do want to. There is one honorable mention. In the summer of '78, while SNL was taking a break, Bill Murray joined up with the Grays Harbor Loggers of Aberdeen, Washington. It was a pro team at the time, and he got a hit off of a pitcher And I mean, it wasn't a great hit, but it was a hit in a pro game. So technically, he's been in a pro sport. Bill.
So number one is Bill Murray for everybody.
Honorable mention is Bill Murray.
I would take that over this The Rock shit. You know what?
What are you talking
There's
about?
too much Rock hate over here, my dude. You gotta relax.
You're
hating too hard on The Rock.
This baby. Again, I'm hating over that you guys are taking him over Arnold. That is ridiculous. The
way he's reacting,
arguably
like
the biggest movie star in the world.
Yeah.
Hold on. Probably the biggest movie star in the world, Arnold. Like everybody knows Arnold for everything. Again, got into a public office from his.
You know what? They were saying The Rock for president, man. He would probably win if he ran.
And the only reason Arnold wasn't getting that because Arnold wasn't born here. Like, let's stop it. People were like, "Hey, if we could change the rule, we would vote for Arnold as president too." Like, but okay, I digress.
If you put a picture today of Arnold Schwarzenegger next to a picture today of The Rock, and you float that around, anybody that's in their 20s or below, they're going to be able to identify The Rock before more people are going to identify The Rock before they identify Arnold.
Here's the ding for
he's more popular now.
How is that even an argument, Jared? Yeah, if I put Taylor Swift up over like Janet Jackson, more people will understand. Doesn't mean she's fucking better. Like, what are we talking about? What does that mean?
Here's the one ding that the Arnold Schwarzenegger has over The Rock that I had to put him a lower. He was a Republican.
Okay, then at least you're honest. At least you're gonna keep it real there.
There we go.
This whole
that was my deciding factor.
The rundown talk of Jaren is asking on this. Whoa. Oh, if you put a picture of them together, who's more popular? Yeah, because one is still doing movies, the other one's damn near retired. Yes, I would assume he'd be more popular. If he wasn't,
he's still doing some really good movies even in his older age.
Oh, I agree, but I'm saying he said who would be more popular? But it must be 20-year-old.
Yeah, who'd be more
yeah, he would. But that's like, and I still even feel like that's even a small margin. That's like if you were to put Hulk Hogan in The Rock's photo up too, I feel like more people would probably say The Rock, but Hulk Hogan be damn close, and Hulk Hogan ain't done shit forever, but use the N-word on videotape.
Hulk Hogan is just broke.
All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully everybody's just as outraged as I am. If you're not, then you're probably a 20-year-old that Jaren's talking about that enjoys The Rock way more than you all should. Shout out to Young Rock too, because as I've been hating on The Rock, I do like that show a lot. I do think that's a really good show, and his charisma shines out on those opening scenes as well. But again, you're listening to the N-Word for Nerd podcast. We're on Headcanon, Circus, everywhere. If you want to check us out, you can check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, all the places that could be there. Yes, Jaren is taking Saki and Soji to the face, and it's going to be a very great show. He must have had that when he made that list too.
It's my disagreement shot.
Is it a grievous shot? Yes. Let's jump right on into Geek News, which, again, like last week, I promised you guys we're going to make this shorter, more compact and sweeter. So starting off with this, we have first leaked pictures of the Tim Burton Batmobile being on the Flash movie set. Guys, I know we kind of hit on this before, but what is your favorite Batmobile? Let's start with you, Jaren.
I mean, I love the Tim Burton Batmobile. It probably ties with the animated series Batmobile for me.
Okay. Jason, number A.
I'm going to agree with Jared. It's a tie between the animated one and this one. But this one, I used to go to the Richmond Historical Museum, and they had a replica of this one there, and I was like, "Oh, this is so cool!" And my dad used to take us to there all the time. So this one has a sentimental value to me. So there.
I'm gonna be the off-kilter one, and I agree with you guys with that Tim Burton one, but I do just love the Adam West Batmobile. I do enjoy it.
I was thinking about that, and I was like, I was that would be my second choice, because even though it's the corniest thing ever, like,
yes,
it works.
Also, that's the one that if you were to ride around town, that is the Batmobile. You're like, oh yeah, I can push that around town as my regular vehicle. Like, I do enjoy that about it.
That Batmobile is that's the embodiment of, we know how he's gonna die, we just don't know when. Because when he rolls that motherfucker, it's over. And he's killed. He's killed the Boy Wonder too. He's all over the pavement. That thing.
But also, like, stupid. I just try to imagine like the Batmobile in like Atlanta traffic.
Especially like if he has a bomb. Yeah,
at 3 a.m. on 285.
That's why Batman got the tumbler. Get through ATL at a reasonable rate.
All right, our next set of news is, yes, everybody's been waiting, and finally it is here. Deadpool has finally made his first official appearance in the technical MCU by doing a reaction video to the trailer of Free Guy with was it Korg?
Korg, yeah.
Yes, so that is our first Deadpool MCU connection here. I know, Jaren, you've been waiting for this for forever, so please tell me your excitement level once you saw this.
I love that Korg when they point out Taika Waititi in the trailer. He's like, "Oh, he looks like a nice guy." Like, I love all the in jokes. They were fantastic. I am so fucking excited for this because whereas Fox snubbed Deadpool every chance they could get, and so they had to write jokes around him, like them not putting any money or effort into Deadpool. Like, now the MCU, I guarantee you, is going to have his back 100%, and he's going to write a totally different group of jokes where he is up to his elbows in MCU characters. I would love it if they have some sort of like this is the kind of thing that'll pull Robert Downey Jr. back out of retirement for like a scene where Deadpool and him are just fucking around or something, and that excites me in every way, shape, form, or fashion. Also, right, I think Deadpool should take over for Stan Lee's cameos in every other MCU
cameo in every movie.
Every movie from here on in. Just one line in the background for something. Absolutely.
Duke of Nerds, your thoughts?
I don't know. I feel like Disney has a way of watering things down, and Deadpool is one of those characters that doesn't work if it's watered down. And hopefully they respect the character and keep it at its rated R level. But my gut feeling is they got to put the ears on it. So,
right.
Kevin Feige's already confirmed it'll be rated R.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that could just be from stabbing people, Jaren. That doesn't mean it's going to be rated R jokes and humor. Is that going to be short
also
legs?
Works for Disney? Okay.
Yeah, that could be short legs with a penis probably in this movie. I'm just going to throw that out there. Probably not going to get pulled off under Disney.
There will probably not be there'll be less baby dick in this version probably. But I think that's the line they draw. I think he's still going to be cutting heads off left and right.
It's like, no more baby dicks in your movies, please.
Yep. They're like, Disney's like, come on, guys.
I'm not excited about it. But I do enjoy the fact that at least they're admitting that, hey, he's part of it. I think I have Deadpool fatigue because I feel like Deadpool is definitely that character that he works better with something else, not as well by himself, because then it feels like it's try. That's why Deadpool 2 to me wasn't as great, because it felt like they tried too hard because they had to one up Deadpool 1, where if you put him in there, and I know Cable was in it, but let's be, Cable wasn't given the Cable story we wanted. They were just like, hey, you guys like Cable, right? Well, here's Cable hanging out with Deadpool, which I know is a comic book, but it
X Factor, and they all die.
Right. Like, Deadpool works better in that capacity, and I hope they know that and they make that more of a thing than trying to like give us just pure Deadpool, because the meta stuff gets a little tiresome for me. Like, all right, I know everything's a joke, Deadpool. I know you made a joke about, refrigerating your woman. I know you did some time travel shenanigans and brought her back. I know, like, something has to stick for me. Yeah, something has to stick in reality for me, I guess. In Deadpool movies so far, as it's been saying, nothing sticks in reality, so it's just kind of like, I can do whatever because I'm Deadpool, which I'm hoping Marvel corrects that. That's what I'm saying. But I've got a feeling like they're going to just try to keep doing what works, which means we're just going to get the same meta jokes, and everybody's going to be like, did you get it? And I'm going to be like, yeah, I got it. Made some joke about something in reality. Got it.
It's going to turn into the Big Bang Theory of movies.
Respectfully.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Referencing things and not making it, and everybody laughs because they referenced it, not because it's an actual joke.
Respectfully,
number 8, you have...
Respectfully, I disagree.
Again, I know you would. You're one of those guys that love that stuff.
His whole B storyline with his wife, was phenomenal. And they did put him up against Deadpool does work when he's put up against, like, next to the straight man, essentially, like the guy that the no nonsense type that he's joking around with the whole time. And I think Josh Brolin's Cable did a phenomenal job of rebutting his ridiculousness every single time he brought it to him. So I disagree. I think that kept him in check. And I think that the B storyline about, his wife was incredibly impactful and well thought out and well acted and well played. So,
but no one's arguing that, Jaron. Like, everybody agrees with what you're saying. No one's arguing that.
You said that he's unhinged and he doesn't have anybody to play off of, and that the story was just all meta jokes and no original content, which it wasn't.
No, I didn't say any of that. I said that. No,
he's saying that it will get to be that way in the future.
Yes,
because
like as it keeps going, because it's nothing that's sticking to the reality of the situation. Like, there's no consequences to Deadpool's reality so far as we've seen. And I feel like that's going to get an old shtick. That's my comment of it. That's why I said I'm not that excited.
Other than his wife dying, I mean,
she didn't die back at the end. She got brought back.
Yeah.
I could say that I would enjoy a Spider-Man Deadpool movie with Tom Holland and Ryan Reynolds would be fun. Yeah. I think that would be a lot. Great. That would be totally fun.
Would you want to put him up against Tom Hardy's Venom?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't fit in the MCU whatsoever.
Yeah. Please, let's never mention Venom again unless we have to.
Who would you cast as the dream villain in that? You got Deadpool and Spider-Man together. Who are they fighting?
You really don't even need a villain in that.
What's the dude? The henchman from Hydra.
you could do Mr. Negative Man. You could do Tombstone, Hammerhead. You could do just a regular. You don't really need a really powerful villain. Yeah, like
I like more about them interacting. Story would be fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's their interaction that's going to be the thing. Yeah. Like,
they could just be hanging out in New York for a movie, and I'd be like, okay.
If they ever did that movie, which we're just troubleshooting here, I would love to see if they ever made that movie a Deadpool reenacting of Uncle Ben's death with all the characters being Deadpool. That would be my dream if they ever made that. Like
that would be the trailer. That'd be the teaser trailer. Like, we're not going to do this in the movie, so I'm going to catch you up.
Right. But Uncle Ben,
Marvel, we're writing movies, guys. Come on, hire us. We're here to be hired.
And he makes like Uncle Ben like quasi a drunk. Power responsibility, Peter. Now bring me another fifth. Like it is completely not really the telly, but just close enough there. But like, okay, we get it. All right. So, last but not least on here, Little Mermaid filming has wrapped. The live action Little Mermaid filming has wrapped, and I mean, any thoughts on this, Duke of Nerds?
I'm surprised no one is drowned.
You
all know what I'm saying.
Yeah, we're not going to comment on that joke.
Y'all know what I'm saying.
If you don't, we're going to move forward. Jared, please. Little Mermaid is wrapped.
I'm so sorry.
I looked at the picture you sent us of the entire cast. Is the guy playing Sebastian actually Jamaican? Because that'd be awesome, but I couldn't tell.
I don't think so. I doubt he is. He's been on Blackish and all that stuff, and he doesn't rock the accent, so I'm gonna assume he's not. Yeah. Well, anyway, let's go on to the Rick and Morty check-in. Where this was episode 4?
Yeah, or 5, 4 or 5.
4, I guess. In this, I just will call this the semen episode. I'm just, I think that's what everybody's gonna know it as anyway. Yep. Let's go ahead, Duke of Nerds. Your thoughts on this latest Rick and Morty episode?
Okay. I laughed a lot during this episode. It made me laugh out loud, but I could not help in the back of my mind think that this is the point where Rick and Morty jumped the shark. This was so outlandishly disgusting that I was like, they're just pulling shit out of their ass at this point. Like, it was funny. Don't get me wrong. It was funny. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it, but like, it's so like this. They have an incest space baby, for crying out loud. This is so like beyond the realm of like good taste, even for Rick and Morty, that I was like, are they running on fumes? Or is this like, I hope they have a better plan than this. That's what I'm just saying. I still enjoyed watching it. I just like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a prude. I'm not like some guy that gets easily, grossed out. But this was the one where I was just like, I don't know what.
Well, as a fan theory is going on that this season is actually telling the story of Evil Morty.
Evil Morty, yeah, I saw that.
So that's why the Rick isn't as dominant, and the Morty's a lot more aggressive and more like can handle itself. So
it also seems a lot less mature than previous Mortys, or previous seasons of Rick and Morty. Because last season, he had a whole relationship with a woman. And, came out on top of that, like, with a more grown-up understanding. And this one, he's like all crying over Planetina. Like, you already lived a life with a woman and you're sad over her? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Planetina probably had that ill, bruh. Had that earth, that fire, that dirt. Planetina had that ill, boy. Shit. I ain't mad at Morty. Jaron, your thoughts on this episode?
I liked it. It wasn't my favorite. But that being said, I did feel like a filler episode in my opinion, but I'll take this over another intergalactic cable box episode any day of the week. So
I like
I mean,
those.
you see,
I like
those
intergalactic
are all
cable
fucking
box.
fillers where they take all the
This is-
ideas that didn't work in the writer's room and they shrink them down to the bite-sized joke that they should be and just rapid fire them at you. That's why I don't like them.
Also, it's just a lot of it's just Justin Roiland riffing. He's just like he's in the booth and then just saying stupid shit, and I'm just like, this is. I'll take that. That's fun.
Yeah.
Have fun.
There was the baby at the end that was terrible. And Sticky, the little guy,
two-tailed sperm.
It brought me. I was raised Catholic, so it brought me back to that immense amount of shame that was placed on me at a young age about my personal sexuality and all of that. So I was watching him and I'm like, oh, don't do it. I know what you think. Don't do the thing. I think don't. And then of course he did. And then he lied really poorly, and everybody just kind of went for it. Like he was so guilty from the rip. And everybody's just like, Morty never lies.
Yeah, I mean it's true. Morty has built up credibility over these seasons. The only real take I have on it is I thought this was a classic episode. I never thought about it in the Jason number 8's perspective that this may be the moment where it all falls down. But my notes on there is 1, Kathy Ireland, and 2, Morty's a fucking snitch and can't hold a secret. That's my take on that whole episode. He's a fucking snitch. The
horses living underground, the subterranean horses. It didn't occur to me like watching it, I'm thinking, oh, they live underground. They must like run into caves like horses. And then they have that baby horse and he immediately tunnels. And that shit caught me off guard, made me laugh so hard. I'm like, yep, nope, that makes sense. They 100% tunnel if they're subterranean beings.
I also liked Summer's B story where she keeps suggesting things and then someone else takes credit for it.
Oh, yeah.
And, and that's like, welcome, you're a woman now.
Yeah.
That's Nancy Reagan, this bitch.
That's Nancy Reagan, this bitch. That was an amazing line.
Good misogyny and sexism, baby. Can't have it any other way. All right, that will wrap up our Geek and Nerd news for now. Again, remember, check us out on Headcanon Circus everywhere. Facebook, YouTube, you name it. We're there. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and etc. Yeah, I mean, even go to my barber plays our show when I show up. Like I'm like, do you even play it when I'm not around? He goes, nah, why would I do that? But when I show up to the barbershop, he puts on YouTube and plays either the sports show or this show or the music show. So shout out to my barbershop, your barber's barber, YBB, out in Norcross, Georgia. Look him up. My man Troy's out there. Yes, shameless plug. All right, let's jump right on into our reviews here. Now, I know we've been talking about for weeks now, probably months now, coming up with a rating system for the reviews. So we finally come up with some rating systems for the reviews. 5 being great, 1 being nothing. But besides that, we are going to have things like, a 5 review would be you should see this in the movie theaters. A 4 review would be rental, bootleg, or VOD. A 3 review would be wait for it on streaming, so your Netflix, your Hulus, etc. 2 review would be network TV, and a 1 review would be you can just not see this at all. So that's going to be our new rating systems going forward, and it's just in time for the delicious debut of everybody's favorite athlete that we should have probably put on this list now. Nope. Mr. LeBron James with Space Jam, The New Legacy. Looks like the Duke of Nerds is already shaking his head and is disgruntled. So let's let you begin. How did you feel about this new entry into the echelon, the series that is Space Jam?
So I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. I've already got, I mentioned this at work once. The first Space Jam isn't that good. And
facts.
This one isn't that good either. But the major, I guess, for me, it was entertaining enough. I did laugh out loud a few times. I was entertained. But the main thing about this movie is pretty much from the get-go, they even kind of say this, is that Warner Brothers does not know what to do with anything that it owns. It does not know how to handle any of its characters. It just doesn't. And they basically say in the movie, like, oh, let's just send them to the rejects with the Looney Tunes, which basically built their company, you know, and they're just treating them just like, there it is, you know, who cares? LeBron James, his acting in this is completely terrible. It is worse than Michael Jordan's acting in Space Jam 1. And that was terrible.
I had a question real quick. Do you think he gets a pass because he made a self-referential joke about athletes not being able to act?
Just because you mentioned it doesn't mean it. You can just do it.
I'm sorry.
Don Cheadle, who's normally, you know, great in everything, is not very good in this, even though I think his lines are the best. Like, I feel like this movie, like, they had some good writers in this movie. It's just like the acting and the delivery and was just not there for this. Whoever got to do the voice acting for Bugs Bunny and most of the cast, like, they should have gone back to like Billy West and like some of the other people that were in the first Space Jam, because their voices are just off to me. I mean, I guess I haven't listened to Bugs Bunny in 15 years, but it just didn't seem like Bugs Bunny to me. And also, there was no reason for Zendaya to be Lola Bunny. Like, couldn't they not have found a voice actor of color that, you know, like, this is kind of movie that you want, like, your voice actors. It's fucking Looney Tunes. You want your voice actors to shine. And it's just like a passable Bugs Bunny impersonation like that. But other than that, it was moderately enjoyable. I liked the little basketball game at the end and like how it, you know, factored into the Suns, you know, programming. Which also brings me to another thing, is that I hate how video games, or not video games, how movies like make people's passion in video games like seem like it's stupid.
Bad thing.
Like, at this point, video games, I guess, like movies like taking digs at video games because they make more money than them, like annually by far, like by billions of dollars. Like, video games make hundreds of billions of dollars more per year than movies do. And it's like, that's a viable career that people can have. You can program video games and make a lucrative life out of that. You can even play video games and make a career out of that. Like, this whole like, oh, that's not a real thing. Stop doing that, please. It is a real thing, Grandpa. But yeah, I guess we'll do the whole review, whether we recommend this thing or not, or do we want to do that?
Yes. No, we'll do it at the end. We'll do it at the end.
Okay,
Jared,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure your feelings are pretty well met. But Jared, go ahead.
Yeah, it was a paint by numbers, nothing overly offensive, nothing overly great. It middle of the fucking road. But that's a shame for how much money and talent they put into it, especially with like Don Cheadle and the creativity behind a lot of it. I don't know when this was written, because there were like 3 Game of Thrones references. Like,
yeah,
they write this either having not watched season 8 or they write this like 6 years ago.
But also, who is this for? Like, what kid's gonna be like, that's a Game of Thrones reference?
Yeah, they put yo, they dropped into Mad Max. I'm like,
yeah,
what the fucking reference is this? And it's live action Mad Max too. I'm like, whoa, kids aren't going to get this. Also, the Gremlins show up. I'm like, whoa, kids aren't. It must be for the parents. Very beginning, the thing that threw my first note on it is poor kids don't throw away Game Boys.
Yeah,
I mean that was the thing to have back then. So at the very least, if he was going to focus on his game, he would sell that shit. His mom, he had a single mom working double shifts and can never go to his game, and he has an $80 device and he's going to chuck it in the garbage. The fuck out of here. The fuck out of here. Clearly, Michael Burnham got into a transporter accident, ended up time displaced on Earth, and decided to cozy up with an athlete because she was killing it as the mom loved it. But the entire time, the entire time she was given that that hard Michael Burnham, Captain Burnham stare into the camera. And I'm like, oh, there she is. Rick and Morty show up, pulling us back to the last thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hilarious.
Still, like, what kid's going to get that reference? What child is watching Rick and Morty? If your kids are watching Rick and Morty, you're a bad parent.
All the kids are watching Rick and Morty. Absolutely. Same thing when we were watching, Beavis and Butthead and shit like that back in the day. Same fucking thing. Now who's the old man?
I guess me.
I had an issue with everybody getting transported in their phones. What about all those motherfucking people that watch shit on their phones while they're driving. Like, how many deaths occurred from this fucking game? Like, people just disappearing while behind the wheel of their car, because they were. I was like, oh God, there's people getting zapped in their phones. People are dying left, right, and center. The Michael B. Jordan.
You think Al G Rhythm cares about that? You thought that was his concern? Oh, I don't want to get any, vehicular homicide deaths. So I didn't care about that.
It's fair. I did. There was one little. There's a lot of references in the background, a lot. But I did like the one that stood out for me, and the only one I'll talk about. I love that they gave my people Yakko, Wacko, and Dot some love. They were chilling out on top of the spaceship, Marvin the Martian spaceship, and they gave them the full 3D treatment. So even though in their background and they didn't have a single line, they were 3D models that were rigged and animated, and I thought that was fantastic because those guys are dope. I love the Animaniacs. So, and yeah, it was a good movie, but it wasn't great. It serviced what it did. It was paid for the numbers.
Unlike Jason number 8, I thought LeBron's acting was better than MJ's. I don't know. Last time you watched Space Jam, I watched it recently with the girls because they actually like Space Jam. And Michael Jordan's horrendous. I mean, LeBron James is bad. Michael Jordan's horrendous. Like
bad,
horrendous in Space Jam 1. I did like all the family drama before all the Toon stuff happened. I think I mentioned that to Jaren. I genuinely was intrigued with this family drama. Like, all jokes besides LeBron's acting, I was like, oh man, this sucks for this kid that his pops don't understand how good of a fucking programmer he is, because look what he just created on his fucking So yes, I was way more intrigued with that. Even when they went to the meeting and LeBron's not impressed, and the son's like, no, this is dope. Like, boy, like, I wish they just didn't even. I wish this was called LeBron James Jam, because I'd rather just watch all that, and I don't care nothing about the basketball game.
LeBron James is a bad parent jam.
right. So the other part about this is that I don't know if this was a directional or director or a LeBron thought process or he was trying to be meta. And I'll probably, because I didn't want to read or watch any other reviews of it, so I'll probably figure this question out more now because I've already have my opinion down. But they showcased all the things that LeBron haters literally say about LeBron in this movie. Mm-hmm. And I was like, how is LeBron doing this? Like, you're doing a movie after MJ, and everybody criticizes you about these things while you're not as good as MJ, and you put it in the movie to show why you're not as good as MJ. MJ took the ragtag Toon group and was like, nah, this is who I got. Let's go ball. Hey, we're going to pretend like you got magic water that makes you great to inspire them. LeBron James in this movie literally tried to pick a super team, which is one of his criticisms, by trying to get Superman and King Kong and the Iron Giant, which is criticism. LeBron James literally was pouty when he was losing by a lot of points, and even gave the on at halftime, like that was like the thing to do. LeBron James literally argued and complained to the referees while the play in action was going on instead of getting back and helping his teammates. LeBron James literally was the GM of the team and was like, nah, you in, you out, blah, blah, blah. All the things that we criticize LeBron about, that we say that MJ's better because he never did, LeBron did in this movie as if it was like, this is okay because this is what we do. What in the good goddamn is wrong with him? Like, you're making a movie off the guy that you're chasing. You don't feed the sharks by saying, hey, yeah, it really is. This is how I act. Because all that stuff that LeBron stands defend me about, I shouldn't waste your breath, because really I do this. I do make super teams. I do complain to the refs. I do get pouty when I don't get my way. And if I start losing, sorry, guys, it's in the movie now. So we know this is true. Jesus Christ, LeBron. Why was that? Why did your agent go, hey, LeBron, we probably need to help rewrite this script because we can't have you looking like this.
This is a bad look.
Yeah. So going to my pros to talk about the family drama, I did enjoy seeing the WB worlds. Not actually when they went in them, but just seeing the whole graphic of them flying through the worlds and whatever. I thought that was pretty cool. LeBron James actually felt like he wasn't taking himself that serious in the movie, which I thought was kind of fun, except for the fact all the criticisms. And my pros is definitely Michael B. Jordan. Great, great. That was a great yeah, my cons in there, besides all the stuff you guys mentioned in there, it was like a long commercial for WB IPs in LeBron James shoes. Like every chance they got, they would show an IP from WB or they would show LeBron James shoes. The other thing I hated was that all the people in the crowd looked like they were cosplayers, not the real characters they were supposed to be.
They
It looked like it was
100%.
guys that were like from Comic Con, and they were like, "Hey, you want to be in Space Jam too?" They're like, "Well, yeah, come on down. Just be energetic and yell and scream, and come on in here." And
I'm surprised. I'm surprised, Jason, that Michael B. Jordan is a pro and not a con for you. And how much you don't like Michael B. Jordan.
Because Michael B. Jordan was way better acting than what we had seen in the whole movie. So I was like, all right, I can take it. And I'm sorry. And that's what my last con of it was like, Don Cheadle, you must have did this as a favor for LeBron. It's no other way. Because Don Cheadle's been on the shop, LeBron's show. It had to be a favor for LeBron. Or the check must have been humongous.
It must have been big.
I can't watch no sudden moves now. You've ruined that for me, Don Cheadle, after this movie. You have
Don
ruined
Cheadle's
that for
so
me.
good, but he's just bad in this movie.
It's almost as like they didn't even get the green and blue screen right, because his even interactions with the things around him was so jacked up. It was like, no, you got to play defense. Or what are you doing? I'm like, who is he talking to? He's not looking at the people. He's just looking out into space. And they just anyway. As I digress because I was getting riled up again, like the Arnold conversation. Let's go on to our rating situations here. Jason, number 8.
Oh yeah.
What are you going to rate this?
All right, I'm going to rate this as what is this? Streaming. What is this? A 3? You can stream it. You can pirate it. You can. Don't pay money for it. Don't do that. Do not pay money. Do not go see this in the theaters. It's a 3 at best. Yeah, it's passable. But don't pay money for it. No, 3.
All right, Jaren.
It's available if you have HBO Max. It's available for free. Yeah, just stream it. Yeah. Apparently, LeBron is also a Hufflepuff. That they cram that in there.
Not true.
Yeah,
he's totally a Slytherin. And I mean that in the most derogatory way possible.
I was going to say Slytherin are really smart. I don't.
Right. I'm probably gonna go, and I'm gonna grade this on the curve because I feel like this wasn't made for me at all. So I am probably gonna go a 3. Yeah, like you can wait to stream it. I'm going with Jason number 8. Bootleg it, stream it, dust off your LimeWire. Go ahead and download it on down. Have a good time with that one.
If you use a LimeWire,
right?
It's gonna come to your door that day.
You won't find a seed on LimeWire. It'll be the only thing showing up on LimeWire servers. It'll be like, whoa.
They only will come to your door to be like, dude, really? LimeWire?
Yeah.
Like we have to arrest you just because you're
the only one on it.
And the only reason I graded on the curve is because I did give Fast 9 a favorable rating because it wasn't for me either. And I said it was a cartoon. This literally was a cartoon, and it wasn't for me. So yeah,
I don't really know who this movie is for in the first place. If it's not for nostalgia guys like us, and it's definitely not for kids because all the jokes are for nostalgia guys. I just don't know who this is supposed to be marketed to. But
for kids, my kids fucking loved it. They
my kid
loved it. They didn't get all
enjoyed
the jokes.
it, but he didn't get half the jokes. When Michael B. Jordan showed up, he was like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "Oh, that's." I had to explain it to him. But then again, I had to explain, who Michael Jordan was to him too. So
right. Yeah. My kids loved it. Like, yeah, a lot of the jokes that we looked at, they didn't care or want to get at all. So it didn't really matter. Let's go into a palate cleanser then. Let's jump right on into Gunpowder Milkshake. Let's go ahead and start with you, Jaren. What are your thoughts on Gunpowder Milkshake?
Oh, Gunpowder Milkshake. Okay. I enjoyed it. Overall, I enjoyed it. All the actresses that play the librarians, I fucking loved. I love the concept of it. What's the main actress's name?
Karen Gillan.
Karen Gillan.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to say Jillian something. Yeah, Karen Gillan.
Maybe it's Jillian.
I can't.
That's hard, G.
Yeah.
All the fights were fun and good. But that first fight in the gutter ball thing, there was a failure at some point. Either Karen Gillan is too lanky to like effectively fight, or there was bad directing, or the fight choreographer was sick that day. One of those 3 things occurred. It didn't bother me for the rest of the movie. And it was a big fucking like point at the very beginning of the movie. I'm like, oh God, I hope she doesn't fight like this the whole movie because this is kind of embarrassing for her. She was lanky, she didn't look coordinated, and every time it was they were doing wide shots, they were pulling out for it, so it was very obvious, and they weren't cutting with the motion. Again, it may have been a failure of three things altogether. I don't know, but the rest of the scenes were better. They were more gun focused and less her throwing stuff and swinging her arms around. So maybe that helped. I laughed out loud at the end of that sequence where she staked a vampire in the chest, like he had a Dracula mask on, and she straight up used a broken broom handle, just stuck him in the heart. I was like, that's fantastic. That thug trio that was sent after him answers the question.
Boneheads.
Yeah, what would Mario look like if he was a real person? That I was like, I'm having flashbacks to Super Mario Brothers Super Show with that wrestler.
I was about to say, I'm like, didn't we already get that question answered with Lou Albang? Okay, go continue.
yeah. That big last fight sequence in the library was okay, but it ramped up considerably when Discount Thor showed up and swung his hammer around a lot. But at that point, it like took off. They hit the emotional points where they're cutting to the other librarians in the two different rooms, and they're making progress. I genuinely enjoyed it, and I there was an emotional sadness for me when the soft spoken, big hearted librarian dies. So it got me at some level. I enjoyed it. It was a fun romp. I absolutely loved the DP and the director's color palette choice. Ironically, that's a bonus that I give for two things we're talking about today, because it also was impactful and amazing in Fear Street. But they did a lot of interesting things with like some neons and stuff like that, and some good color choices in it. I really, 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 this is more than good. It's great, but it's not perfect because of that initial fight sequence. I was waiting. After that, I like started tuning in to all the directorial choices and started watching for something that would give me an idea of where the failure was. And so that took me out of the movie a little bit. Also, the entire time I thought, Jason, your daughter could have played the little girl role. Like the whole time I'm like, Katie would destroy this. It was awesome. But the emotion was there, the action was there, except the first fight. And the characters were great. I absolutely loved it. So yeah, big fan. Thumbs up.
I'll jump in and we'll end with you, Duke. I'm here for it. Women flexing their muscles. I'm made. This movie is the movie. I always say these movies are kind of made for me. They give me the noir feel, which I love. They give me the action scene feel, which I love. They give me badass like set pieces and fight and action scenes that I'm definitely in favor of. I want to say, I guess the phrase that I'm going to use for this review is lesser degree. It felt like they tried to channel some of the noir feel of Tarantino movies to a lesser degree. It felt like they were using some of the music that Tarantino and Edgar Wright would use to a lesser degree. They felt like the color work, like you talked about, was very Edgar Wright to a lesser degree. And the fight choreography and pulling out the camera, please say it with me. It felt everything to a lesser degree. Yes. And so even the slow-mo felt like Zack Snyder to a lesser degree. Like that's what it felt like to me. And I'm not taking away from it. This is on Netflix. So to a certain degree, we have to realize that Netflix is not going to give the same budget as if it would have been on the big screen to a lesser degree. So going with this, I disagree with the first fight choreographed scene. I liked it, but I think my perspective on it was different from yours. And that's why I think maybe I liked it. Because when I first saw it, I'll admit it felt kind of, hey, I need to be here and put up the book bag. And then I need to duck because of the knife. And then Santa, like it did feel like she was in her head doing it. But then my other part of me that watches a bunch of movies and kung fu flicks and all that thought to myself that initially they weren't really trying to hurt each other. So I felt like she was starting off like sparring. They were sparring with each other. And then finally, that's when you start getting to the cuts, when they start really hurting each other. You start getting the camera cuts. where that opening, when they just pan out, I felt like it was like, remember he was like, yeah, he told us not to use. She's like, oh, you didn't bring the guns, blah, blah. He goes, yeah, he told us not to rough you up too much. So I felt like they were like not really going 100%, why I felt kind of stilted. And that's just my head canon in it. Take it for what it's worth. It could be complete utter bullshit. That's what I felt like, because again, once they started going away from the full pan, the cutscene action did feel more brutal and did feel more in the moment. So that's why I kind of felt like that's what was going on there. It's either they're here nor there. I do love all the small, slight references in there that a lot of things that people might not have caught. Angela Bassett's character being named Anime. Anybody's watched Was Love Got to Do with It? Tina Turner, her name was Anime. Mwah, beautiful. Lena Headey having this flipping shotgun. She played Sarah Connor in the TV show. Most iconic gun in Terminator series, besides the fucking huge ass gun Arnold puts out to spray everybody down, is the flipping shotgun. I thought that was like, thank you for doing that for me. Knife guns are very handy. Another pro I have in there. I did feel like, again, the word of it is to a lesser degree, it felt like they were trying to take Tarantino's The Bride, Beatrix Kiddo, Bruce Lee, and mixing in a little bit of
John Wick,
the driver for I can't think of his name now. Ryan Gosling from Drive. Wow. I felt like they were trying to mix all this character together to make this woman, this hodgepodge version of this woman. I didn't mind it. I enjoyed it very much. This movie, like I told you guys, I text you guys. I feel like this is the sequel that Shoot 'Em Up would have been, that just never got made. And I think if Shoot 'Em Up and if John Wick had a love child, this movie is what would have come out of the body of that, I guess, woman, man, whatever. Birthing. And then the last thing I did love is the handicap fight scene is just technically, for a fight choreographer, a thing of beauty. To make something that's that ridiculous but still believable is a thing. Because again, at any moment, this thing could have gotten so silly that you'd be like, oh, bullshit. But it stayed right on that edge of corny, silly, but realistic enough that you would buy into this. And I thought that's very, very hard to do. As a guy that watches a bunch of kung fu and action movies, like I probably watch that maybe as much as I watch horror movies. That is very hard to set up a scene or something to make that kind of believable and functional enough that you could kind of think that this could be a possibility in this goofy kind of movie. The only cons I got is that I can't marry Karen Gillan. Other than that, I don't got much cons in the way of it, because I feel like this movie knew what it was and it executed on what it was. Oh, yeah, to a lesser degree. All right, Jason, number 8. What do you got for us?
I would kind of agree with you, Jason, that okay, so for me, I enjoyed this movie, but I couldn't help but being a little bit disappointed because I wanted more from it than it was willing to give. Firstly, like I thought the first part of the first act of the movie was pretty boring. Especially like as that bowling alley fight scene, I was like, yeah, she doesn't know how to do her choreography at all. It picks up in the hospital, and I thought that was a lot of fun, but I guess I just wanted like more outlandish characters. They kind of like set up all these characters to kind of be like really outlandish, but they weren't they're just kind of like to a lesser degree, as Jason would say. Like even those 3 henchmen guys, like the way like they were kind of introduced, you're like, okay, these guys are gonna be like characters. They're gonna be like wacky kind of guy or something, but you know, they just end up getting high and getting killed and
that doctor
in a fun sequence, but it was just like there was nothing to them, and there was really nothing to any of the antagonists. They were just kind of like fodder for her and her friends to slaughter, I guess.
Nondescript men.
Yeah. I did like the library. I did like all the characters inside of that. The little girl was precocious, and I loved how she kept saying, I'm her apprentice. Like, he's a murderer, dude.
Yeah, off the rip.
Off the rip. She's like, I'm her apprentice. And everybody's like, okay.
He's like, no.
Miss having a kid around the library. What?
Yeah. I was like, oh.
Like, we miss and I love the fact like all like the feminist books were the ones that had guns in them.
Yeah.
And like based on the book was what type of gun you were going to get. And I thought that was pretty fun and clever. I enjoy like the very few scenes with Paul Giamatti. Like he played the right amount of like, I got to do what I got to do, and I'm sorry for doing this,
Right.
but also I kind of really don't care. So like, I don't want to do this, but this is kind of my job, so sorry. And so I kind of like that kind of like villain who's like, this is kind of a pain in the ass. I'm gonna have to try to have you killed. It's all business, but I really, really don't want to. I know you're probably gonna come and kill me. Like, I know I'm gonna lose this, but I have to do it because that's what it's expected of me, and I kind of like that sort of thing. But yeah, I just wanted more from this movie. I guess I like, especially you're comparing it to Shoot Up, which was really outlandish and really out there. It was basically like, it was literally Bugs Bunny as a murderer.
Yeah.
Like that was literally what Shoot 'em Up was. And I guess I kind of expected that from him. So if it was a love child between Shoot 'em Up and John Wick, it would be the one that they probably gave up for adoption because they were like, we can't
it was their apprentice.
Yeah. But other than that, it was good. It was an enjoyable movie, I think.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and give our ratings. Jaren, your rating on Gunpowder Milkshake.
Does it have a theatrical release?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Then, I mean, if down the road you can support the art by buying it on Blu-ray, I think it'll be a fun Blu-ray, and I think it'll probably have some fun behind the scenes stuff. So if you can find a way to spend money on it and support the art, I endorse it.
All right, Jason, number A.
Yeah, I would agree with Jaron. If you can put some money into it so that people like this can make more movies, that would be great. So I guess that's a 2. You rent it, VOD, put some money, put some time into it. Yeah, it's good. You won't be you won't be horribly disappointed.
Yeah, I'm at a 3.5. Like, do it on streaming, but if you got opportunity to rent it because you want to see it right now, go ahead and check it out and see it right now. I think it's great, and if you are into this genre mashup type of film, it does itself justice on that one. All right, and let's go on to our last review of the day. We're going to talk about Fear Street on Netflix. R.L. Stein's Fear Street, parts 1 through 3. So we're just going to wrap up the whole trilogy in one talk around. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. I mean, this is good for the YT crowd. It's enjoyable. The story did unfold very creatively. I thought it fit very well, and it wasn't twisty for the point of being twisty. I thought the characters, especially the ones in the 94 and even going like the older 1666, was really good. The 80s one, just the characters didn't really vibe with me a lot, but I think that's just maybe because I've seen too many slashers in my life, and I've seen this kind of spoof of a slasher fit be done way better, so it didn't feel that great to me. I did feel like they hit all the tropes, but I couldn't figure out the tone that this is trying to do. Or they're trying to do a kind of spoof of the tropes, but keep it serious, or is it supposed to be a straight parody? I couldn't get the tone as much. It like either you're gonna go Cabin in the Woods with it, where you're gonna have all the tropes, or if you're gonna be like we talked about the movie The Final Girls, like it has the tropes, but it's taking the material serious. I couldn't find the tone that this was trying to give me. Like I felt like a couple of times it was very, oh yeah, this is just tongue in cheek because it's a slasher, and then sometimes it was like, no, this is serious. We got to figure out this mystery. Like, I just, so for me, that's what kind of took me out of it, because I didn't know if I was supposed to be laughing with this or actually feeling for these characters, because they were doing so much character development, but then they were giving them goofy stuff to do. So it just kind of always threw me off a little bit there. Definitely in the 1666, you can see the limitations of the budget, because I did feel like they were just on a complete set. Just like, hey, found this field, put up house real quick. Like, it felt that way. It didn't feel like a lived-in world. Let me just say, maybe it's the best way to explain that. But a lot of things were to like about it. I thought 1666, the part 3, was the most suspenseful out of all of them. I thought just how they let that story develop was very, very clean, very sharp. Oh, I did like 94's story as well. Again, the 80s one I thought was just paint by numbers.
Hold on. Start 1666. Start that over again. I lost you.
Yeah. I'm just saying 1666 part was very, very good. I thought, like, again, it was the most suspenseful part of all for 3 parts. I thought 94 was cool just because we didn't know what the concept was going to be. Part 2, I think 2 was the weakest one for me, I think. And I don't know if it's because Old Girl from Stranger Things is trash to me or because I don't know. I don't know what
You're just racist against redheads.
I love redheads. That's like my favorite type of woman. But I don't know. I felt like it just did not work for me for the 80s one, which is part 2. But all in all, I enjoyed it, man. I mean, some of my notes here is, let's be honest, putting them as the leading characters is a very bold move there, Cotton. The brother was my favorite character out of all of them. Like, he fit the trope of the nerdy guy that knows all the things, and he did it very, very well, which was pretty cool. And I mean, he gives us the Contra and Castlevania video game code reference. You gotta love him at that point. That's completely utter everything 90s. The only thing I didn't buy was, I forgot what song he was listening to. I'm like, no black kid.
He was listening to White Zombie in 94. No black dude in the history of black dudes listened to White Zombie in 94.
Thank you.
Like,
that's the thing I said. I was like, that's unbelievable.
And if you were, please let me know so we can be friends. But like, no.
I did enjoy this about part 2. Homeboy going Anakin Skywalker was very enjoyable for me. For those who watch it know, he slaughters a bunch of kids in it, which was great. Yeah, takes them all out. Other than that, man, my only con really is just I couldn't get into the vibe of part 2, but I enjoyed it. I got to watch it with my daughter, so that was even more a better experience as well. Had to kind of like go past some certain parts, but other than that, we enjoyed it. What you got for me, Jaron?
So the first one starts out evil kid, slashy, shot in the head, pans to the person that shot him, and I'm like, damn, the Wonder Years must have wore off. I thought that was fucking what's his face,
Fred
Savage, and that he was looking rough. And then when it cuts back to him later, I'm like, they switched the actors out mid-movie? What happened? And I rewound. I was like, oh, it's just not him. Okay. So this whole thing, I enjoyed the shit out of this. I was telling them earlier, I set out to watch 1, and then I was going to watch maybe 2, and then give it a day and watch 3. I ended up just binging all the way through, sat on my ass for 6 hours, just watching it all. That being said, this backstory of this class war that's going on between, Shadyville and Sunnyside or whatever it is.
Shadyside and Sunnyville.
Right. It was really elementary. It was really, really basic. There was no nuance to it. It was the quote unquote haves and have-nots. And there was a constant shitting on the shady side by these, rich white kids. And in the 70s, they bring it up like all the Sunnyvale people are like, ew, we don't do drugs. That's dirty. I grew up around a bunch of privileged white kids. Those motherfuckers did more drugs than anybody. So that's some bullshit right there. I just didn't feel genuine.
Whoa, Jaron, it was the 90s. Only black people were doing drugs, evidently.
Yeah, you know what the
right. 3 strikes and you're out, Clinton.
Yeah. They didn't need to drown that girl in the first episode because they put 7 fucking EpiPens directly into her heart. That bitch's heart would have exploded out of her chest. Like, what were they thinking? I was like, I'm watching them just continually run through them. I'm like, she's gonna do one of those things where she wakes up screaming, and and then die from a heart attack, and it just didn't happen. So I had to check her age. I'd mentioned this. I had to check her age to make sure I wasn't like a creep. But the main character, Dina, man, she ticks all the boxes. She is a smoke show, and she is 28. So I'm allowed. It's fine.
I'm glad you were worried about that.
Because she plays like a high schooler, so I had to make sure. People in this movie, the one issue I had, the action was great, story was great. I loved how they brought it all together. It was a little weird when they were saying, "Oh, the 3rd episode's going to be time travel." I'm like, well, that doesn't really jive with what's going on right now. But it wasn't. It was in a different way. It was experiencing the life of another, so that's fine. people are shaking off fucking gut stab wounds in this fucking movie left, right, and center. They are just fine with taking fucking metal into the gut,
which is like normally that will kill you,
that
like
will stop
slowly
you.
and painfully.
Ooh, that'll stop you. You ain't tracking her back to the village and grabbed her by the hair and saying you found the witch after she fucking put a shiv this big into your fucking belly. No, sorry, ain't happening. She got cut. Our friend, the nerdy brother, exposition lad, he got cut like straight across the belly. I mean, everybody's just like taking it like a champ, and I'm like, I'm watching it. I'm like, and I loved the all of the incarnations of the killers. I wanted to see more of that creepy little kid with the mask and the bat. Now I know that all these guys would have just straight up booted him across the room, but I kind of wanted to see that too.
Yeah, you get a small clip of him, I think, like bashing his parents in bed or something.
While they're asleep.
Like a small clip. Yeah.
And then him just banging on the candy machine in the mall later. Like,
we took some headshots though, so there you go.
Yeah, because if he had run up on somebody, they would have straight booted his ass like 300.
Sidekick,
kick to the chest, and his ass would have flown. But I still like. No, I loved it. Very interesting how they. I also like how they figured out how to like kind of corral them with the blood. Like I dug that. I love it, and I like how they set up those rules. And even though you knew that's how it was going to go down, like it still was tense every time they were very close to the blood like trails, and the people were just like within arm's reach of them, and they're like, I'm sitting there going right along with them. I was like, don't get them, don't reach out. I also would have been a little further from that door until they got into the place, and then I would have kind of creeped up. But they were like just chilling right there. Good is evil, hilarious.
Yeah.
Amusing. But yeah, no. Overall, genuinely enjoyed it. Was surprised how much I enjoyed it, and of course, a lesbian in 1666 is going to be a witch. I mean, obviously. Satan's got his hands on you.
Shoot, there's people out here who think lesbians now are witches. I mean,
right.
Let's be honest.
Wait,
honestly, like,
have we put them in the water? Do they float?
Yeah,
if they float, they must be a witch.
The good is evil line is like the culmination of like how I couldn't figure out the tone. Like she says it to her brother in the woods, and like she said it's so deadly serious. I'm like, but it's kind of funny that like, but it was just, and I'm like, I don't get the tone of this. Like, what are they looking for?
I guess it's like kind of like how slasher movies are, where they're kind of like a little bit funny, but also a little bit serious. Like even like Friday the 13th, Halloween, they always have like these stupid like cheesy stuff that happens in them, but it's still like this dude's coming to rip your head off with his bare hands and spit down the hole.
Or
part of that is like they take those slasher movies in the movie dead serious. We laugh because it's just ridiculous, like the decisions they make. Like in this one, like they relatively made smart decisions.
Yeah,
like a good number of the time, but it was like I don't know, and maybe it was just me. Maybe I did, but I'm gonna let you go ahead, Jason. Like I just felt like I couldn't get the tone.
I enjoy this thoroughly. I loved the fact that the main character was a person of the BIPOC community. I enjoyed this. This is fun. This is great. I normally don't get down with horror movies, but I do like slashers. I love how this was like taking all the slasher tropes and kind of like modernizing them in a kind of a way. I enjoy how the kids were pretty stupid to begin with, but then they're like, we got to figure this shit out, and like they did. They were like, they came up with plans and tried to execute them, and sometimes their plans went awry because they didn't really understand what they were up against. But they had plans and they tried to figure it out. And at one point, the girl was like, "Yo, they're just coming after me, so I'll just sacrifice myself." And they were like, and that was a good plan. And they were like, "No, we're not going to happen." I would have taken off my blood covered T-shirt before I would have got my head pushed through a bread slicer, but
facts.
But someone had to die. I enjoyed the twist that the cop was behind it the whole entire time. I feel like that's relevant because ACAB motherfucker. So I enjoyed that. That was like, the whole entire time it wasn't, the witch. It was this dude who had did it and was blaming it on, and had been blaming on the witch the whole entire time, but it wasn't her because she was just. And I also like the fact that like in the 1666 one that, the guy that she was, treating kindly and, helping out after his wife had died and kid had died was the bad guy. I thought that was a pretty cool like little thing. So yeah, like I think the tone was for me was great. I think it was slasherific. It was just like kind of like the tone of any other slasher movie, which was fine. I enjoyed the end where they figured out everybody what was really happening and what they needed to do, and yeah, it was I was looking forward to this each week, so I had a lot of fun with this, and I would not have put my head through that bread slicer though.
Yeah. There were a couple things
also that kid should not have been listening to White Zombie. I mean, like he should be listening to like Tupac or
yes. Biggie,
or Biggie at that time, some of that, and then gradually, found his way to White Zombie.
I would have like as soon as I kind of figured, like halfway through the first episode, first movie, you realize that you can't kill these things, but like as soon as like I got in my head when they come up with a brilliant idea to trap them in the mall, like behind the cages, I had already been there. I was like, why don't they go to the town sheriff's department and put themselves in a cell and just wait. It's coming. It'll be a weird thing that you can't kill that'll keep getting up, and then everyone will know what the fuck is up. Like I would have been like, let's get the army involved. Let's get everybody involved. Now, granted, sheriff was the bad guy, but I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like these things can be beat by just being in a place that a human can't get to.
By a locked door.
yeah. Well, they can hack through wooden doors, but they ain't getting into a jail cell or getting out of one if you can trick them in.
But yeah, I feel like this will be one of those things that maybe in a few years, like kind of like Scream, people will be like, "Oh, this was the jam." Maybe not our generation because we'll be dead by then, but Gen Zers. In 20 years, we'll all be dead.
I mean, you really like this one way more than I. I
mean, I just think like, cause, I think about like the first Scream, like that was a really enjoyable movie, but like it wasn't for 15 years before people were like really saying, "Oh yeah, Scream was revolutionary," No, like they were just excited.
I feel like
that Wes Craven came back.
Yeah,
I feel like Scream was like that moment was like the opening sequence of Scream put it like this is revolutionary because it was like a huge meta horror movie that played on the fact that like all the people in this universe had seen horror movies and was like, hey, don't do this because that's fucking stupid because we've seen horror movies. Like I think Scream got its respect when it came out. Like I don't remember I remember seeing it in the theater thinking, oh shit, this is crazy. Like blah blah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I was maybe you're in a different spot because I was further north and maybe we respect horror differently there, but I don't think it took like 50 years for Scream to be like, oh yeah, this was important. Like I feel like that was felt to be important right off the rip.
Watching Scream 2 and going, oh, that guy, I can't wait for him to be a deputy U.S. Marshal, Raylan Givens, later on.
Well, let's go to the ratings. Duke of Nerds, what do you rate this series?
I feel like this is a must see. I think it's a 1. Is that 1? 1's good, right? I feel like it's a 1.
5. Yeah, 5 is a good. 5 is good.
Well, then 5.
Yes, there you go. 5. 5.
Whatever the thing is, whatever the must see is. I feel like if you like horror movies and stuff like that, especially slashers, this is something that you should definitely take your time out to watch. At least the first one and the third one.
Yes, Jaren, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll give it a 4.5. I think it's. I read a lot of R.L. Stine back in the day, and this is they did a really good job of kind of like jacking up the maturity quotient for this one. There's a lot more blood, there's a lot more sex, there's a lot more drug use than I remember in those books when I was in like
there were definitely none of that in Goosebumps.
Yeah. So I highly recommend it. It's a phenomenal trilogy, and there's always has to be one that's the lesser in the 3. and I think we all agree it's probably 2. So, but still worth watching for the setup. And it's Britta from Community. Hooray!
Yeah, she's always
right. I'm gonna give this a 4. Give it a strong 4. Definitely, if you want to. I mean, yes, it's streaming, but VOD rental status. Go to your local Blockbuster. Go and rent this out. Take it out. I'm
gonna give it a Blockbuster.
Yeah, get that big VHS brick.
Yep. Which is funny that I'm the horror guy and I ranked it lower than everybody on the show. So shame on me, Jason. Shame on me. I have to lose my horror credentials then, maybe.
That actually might be. That might be indicative of that. Actually, might be good for people because if they're hardcore horror fans, they might not be as into it as me. Me and Jason number A aren't big horror fans. Like my favorite horror movie is like Cabin in the Woods, and that's because it's mostly a witty joke fest. So you know what I mean? Like, so maybe the rating is absolutely right, whereas you might be rating it lower because you're more of a hardcore fan of the genre, and we're more day traders in it, so we liked it more.
Only reason I'm rating less just because I don't think 2 was that interesting at all. That's it. If 2 was a little better, I probably would have been at the 5 level.
There were black people in 2.
Facts. Yeah. It was like one of the prisoners that got slaughtered was black.
Axed. He got killed. The one black guy on the whole entire second one was killed. Yeah.
I was like, man, Meatballs
Negative
was
5.
Serious. 70s
thank you.
Camp movies.
Thank you guys for listening to Headcanon Circus. Again, check us out on YouTube, Facebook. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere you listen or watch, if things that you watch. For soon we're gonna get a TV channel too. Just watch. I'm just speaking into it.
It's gonna be on Comcast channel 4 or 3.
New Spike.
The new Spike, yes. All right, well, let's go into our Talk Nerdy to Me section of our show. Loki has ended, ladies and gentlemen. The 6th episode run has ended. We have been promised a season 2, which I think is the first time we got promised that from any of the series, which is what everybody knows, WandaVision and Black Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Just Captain America, Jason.
Yeah.
Look here, man.
You're the Black Falcon, ain't you?
Look here, man. Until they find somebody to replace him, I'm not going to act like he's Captain America yet. So
White WandaVision
and right. Well, with that, let's recap Loki first, and let's talk about the future of the Marvel Universe in the second part of this conversation. So first and foremost, Jaren, what are your thoughts on Loki, the 6 episodes?
I thought the 6 episodes were awesome. This has been my favorite Disney Plus MCU outing so far. I absolutely love Tom Hiddleston and I love Loki. I thought he was great. Now, I will say the entire time that he was having like close-up conversations with people and they were framing it a certain way, I was waiting for him to disappear and to reappear behind them with a knife in their back, and it never happened. Especially when he was kind of like having it out with Sylvie right at Kang's desk. They framed it in a way where you just couldn't see behind her, and I was waiting for him to just disappear in that glistening gold thing and then right behind her. But just a phenomenal series, had a lot of heart, had a lot of great characterization, and I know it set up a lot, like knowing kind of the basic players in the game at this point. Setting up Renslayer, setting up Kang, like those, they're going to be much bigger players down the road, and I'm excited that they got to have this kind of like run up to their characters. So hopefully, when we get them in the movie, they can hit the ground running, and we don't have to do backstory and stuff, so that they can fit more of the story they want to tell in it, and not have to take a lot of time out of their day to be like, oh, and this person came from here, and he and she did this, and blah blah blah. I like the idea that TVA is still standing at the end of this, because I think they'd be a great foil to a lot of people in the upcoming iterations of the MCU, especially when they deal with time travel. It's like if they step afoul of the TVA, I like the idea that those fuckers show up and cause a wrinkle in plans. That whole idea of time cop is super fun for me. And I mean, I can't talk about Loki without talking about Jonathan Majors just killing it as Kang, eating scenery, loving it. Just you having the most fun as of any of the characters I've ever seen him, because he's always great. But he was just phenomenal in this, and he was just you could tell he was just giddy about being there and having a blast. It could have just been his character, and he's a great actor, but I felt like this super positive energy that was sitting kind of on the edges of just how he was delivering stuff and having a good time with it. So, and then, yeah, I mean, it sets up so much. Multiversal Madness, Quantum Mania, or whatever it's called. A lot's going on, and a lot of it is we're going to look back at this. This might become the next Age of Ultron, where they keep referencing back to stuff that was in the background that we didn't notice, or they reshoot some stuff with the camera placed just a little differently and add some stuff, just to the side.
Or the Dark World.
Oh, yeah. Oh. But yeah, no, loved it. Cannot recommend enough. Yeah, big fan of this series.
All right, Duke, what you got for me?
Yeah, I'm gonna mirror what Jaron said. The best part of this show was at the end with Jonathan Majors, to me anyway, because that dude was just breaking his foot off in it. He just played it with just the amount of like menace, with light amount of insanity of senileness. It was so great. I cannot wait to see what he brings to the character in the future, even though I guess this character is going to be a different character for the same character. So so he might bring something different to his next iteration of Kang the Conqueror, even though I guess he wasn't really Kang in this one. He was, the one that remains. I liked Loki. It was a fun show. It was definitely like Tom Hiddleston and Luke and Owen Wilson, not Luke Wilson, Owen Wilson. They did a really good job. I don't know the actress name that plays Sylvie, but she did an excellent job. I feel like it should be a little bit weird that they kissed, but I also feel like it shouldn't be weird.
Not for a narcissist.
I just kissed myself right there.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. But you're not a female version of yourself. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm glad stuff like that can't happen in real life, so we don't have the answer to these questions. And like, it's not that weird to kiss your a female version of yourself. It's fine. Yeah, it sets up a lot of good stuff, and it does it in a very fun and entertaining way. So like, we have a really nice basis for where these next set of movies are going to go, and we don't have to. Well, for those of us who watched it, don't have to like be reminded or tread ground of things that I've already came, or have to waste time on stuff like that, or on origin stories and things like that. So I'm glad that this show has done all the work for us. Was it better to me than the Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Probably not, because I'm going to go down with things that have black people in it.
A lot of black power in that. A lot of black power.
So, but still a very entertaining show. Still very much fun. Yeah, it's a very important show because, yeah, as I said, it's going to factor into all the movies, even the Spider-Man movie. Everything's going to be affected in by this stuff. So, yeah, it's great. It was great. It was wonderful. I don't know what they're going to do in season 2. For me, even though they did say there's going to be a season 2, I don't really think that's necessary. But yeah, any more Tom Hiddleston doing Tom Hiddleston shit, that should be fun.
Right.
More TVA too.
Yeah, more TVA too. That's fun.
Yeah. I've always been hard on Marvel. That's one of the things I've been hard on the critique of Marvel, because I feel like everybody gives Marvel a pass for the inconsistencies and the tomfoolery they do, because it's like, oh, we get to see our superheroes on screen and it's a functional, competent story. So we excuse all the other bullshit that they do that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't, whatever. With that being said, Marvel does one of the things I do have to give them a lot of credit for is they learn from their mistakes. And Jaron kind of took some of my thunder by talking about Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron did not work because they tried to put so much into it to make the whole rest of the next phases work that it made the story unfocused. And I mean, it's the worst Avengers movie by far because of what Marvel wanted them to try to do in it. This was their best idea, is that, hey, if we're going to go into this multiverse thing, trying to put it into a 2-hour movie that's going to have other plot lines is not going to work out too great because of Age of Ultron. So we're going to put this in 6 episodes or whatever, but really only the last few episodes really speak to that. But because we took all the heavy lifting in the first 4, the last 2 really can just focus dead eye. I mean, this last episode, literally, it was really only about setting up for the rest of the multiverse going forward in the next phase. This was exposition heavy. You call it the black dude in Fear Street exposition lad? Well, Jonathan Major said, hold my beer. Because he literally just gave you everything you need to know about how the multiverse works, how it came into existence, why the TVA exists, why he's running it this way, why if he doesn't run it this way, what's going to be the consequences of this, why these consequences are going to be like he gave you everything. If you left there with a question, he probably answered it too. It was probably like Clippy with Microsoft Office. You probably could hit it up and just rewind it and be like, oh, that's my answer. Sorry that I ever doubted you, and go about his business. The only thing I hate, and this has nothing to do with the series, the only thing I hate that bothers me so much, Marvel, I give you so much credit, and then you give me this one, is that you should have never told us that Jonathan Masters was Kang the Conqueror. Majors is Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
We only know that because that casting was announced. If you would have just gave us this without that context, and we would have put it together, because he goes, oh, some people call me a conqueror. Some people, we would have put it together, but imagine our heads exploding once we put that piece together. Like, they had a moment there where we could have been like, oh, shit, it's like, oh, damn, that little kid sees dead people.
That's King the Conqueror right there.
Yeah, that little kid sees dead people. That's crazy. Oh, the detective, the counselor was dead this whole time. Like, it could have been that kind of moment, because we wouldn't have expected that, him to be the last guy standing when we got to that point. That's the only, I mean, that's not a negative to the series. That's just Marvel being Marvel. And I don't know if they were just trying to, hey, we cast a black guy, so hey, look over here, black guy, key role, black guy. I don't know if that's what they were trying to do, but at the end of the day, I wish we wouldn't have known it, because that would have just fucking blown all of our minds. The series is great. And then I want to take something back that me and Jaren partially argued about this weekend when I was talking about Sylvie and her motivations. I want to take it back because I did go rewatch it. I've watched the episode 3 times to take notes and really hear some of the stuff he was saying. I take it back. After I watched it 2 more times, Sylvie does have moments where she is contemplating not doing it to doing it. Even when she finally thrusts the sword into her, you can even tell, like, it's a pause there. She's still at the brink. They're like, is this the right thing to do? And she's like, fuck it. So I take that back, because I made an argument that I thought that Sylvie was such a rational character all through this, that her not believing the other Loki and believing the guy that she said is a liar made no sense for her character. But no, it's true. She did believe the other Loki. She just felt like this is what she deserved to have. She worked her whole life to get this moment, and she deserved to have this moment regardless of the consequences. Yes, centuries, yes. So I take that back, because once I watched it again, even when her and Loki were facing off and she had him, she even paused there and was like, you could see the thing, you could see it working through her facial expressions. And that's what I said I wanted. I just wanted a little bit more to say, hey, I'm actually understanding the consequences, but I don't give a shit, because I want this. And they did do a good job of that. So I take back that critique of it. I think they did a great job of it once I watched it again. The only other critique I have of it is literally, and it's nothing important of it, is that I'm like you all, I don't need a season 2 of this. And if you give me a season 2, it's large shoes to fill. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Pretty big shoes to fill if you're gonna give me a season 2 of this. But they seem to always hit it out of the park, so what the fuck do I know?
So hold on.
It's gonna be the season 2 of Heroes. Great, phenomenal first season, and the next one's gonna be like just straight garbage.
Right.
So based on everything that we know, if I had to make a prediction, I would say that season 2 is going to be about the TVA restructuring and then going after Renslayer. Because now she is I mean, they're all variants, but now she is off the grid and she's running around with a lot of info that they don't have. And she's off on her own. She just pieced out. They didn't really give any context as to what she's going to be up to or her motivations. And she gone. So
I also feel like it will be Loki trying to find his way back to his current reality. His TVA, his current reality or whatever it is.
Yeah. So they restart the issues, the trust issues that he's going to have with Owen Wilson's character, Mobius.
Yeah. I don't like stuff like that. Like, that to me is like, oh, we got to do the same thing over again. Like, Like
They're
even when
smart
the
about
show
it.
started, like I was still kind of apprehensive about like, oh, we have to have Loki's redemption arc over again, and I'm glad they only did it within like
Oh yeah,
an
they
hour or
shrunk
like
it
that,
down
like
really
10
quick. Yeah.
minutes. Because I'm like, we've already been here and we've already seen this. Like we already seen, Loki and Morbius's relationship grow. Like we don't need to do that again. Like
Yeah.
let's like first episode next season be like, okay, we were friends. We're friends now. Let's just put that
Yeah,
aside. Okay.
I think good writing, he'll be able to dump info and talk to Mobius as if they've been friends for as long as they have been, which is a couple weeks. Mobius is, I think, at his core, a trusting character. So I think that he'll probably be on board pretty quick. But
I mean, I thought,
wow.
and this is it's probably my naivete on watching it, because I did feel like this was a different universe because of the things we saw. But I thought maybe some of this was just time travel things changing shenanigans, because we technically don't know where she pushed him back to. So it could have been a little further back. And then my assumption here is that because of episode 5, our Loki learned a little bit about enchantments, which I'm assuming that's why he's going to probably give Morbius back his memories without having to. They're going to have some way where Loki's like, oh, I can show you what we went through or some shit like that. And that's just me spitballing how they're going to write their way to easily go into them being back to being cool again, because he did do an enchantment with Sylvie to get to that point.
She taught him something more power.
New. Yeah. Right. So I thought that's going to be the easy way out, which I don't know if it's earned or deserved, but it takes away from you, Jason, where it's like, I don't want to see that shit again. That's probably what they're going to do.
This is boring. They're going to have to go through the whole nother season where they're like at each other's throat again, and then at the very end, they're going to be friends. It's like, I've already seen this.
Even still, so like, I don't even know. I mean, the answer is too. I remember in the first couple episodes where he set Loki down and showed the future of Loki, like the other Loki that ended up dying. Like, I'm pretty sure if he comes up and complains about this has all been done, blah, 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 they should have that kind of, can look into his timeline and see really quickly all the stuff that he went through. Yeah. So anyway,
you know how like this particular movie is kind of like a long form version of exposition so that we can get on with it with the other movies. What if we take this to the next level and make it so that Loki and Mobius get back together in the trailers leading up to the second season? They tell that story in 30-second clips.
That would be a clever
jet skiing together, going jet skiing together, hanging out.
You're like, yo, let's go. We hit the ground running. We got stuff to talk
about. So let's jump into the future of the MCU. Jaren, where do you think they go from here? What do you think are the prospects for the upcoming movies? Should we even care about Shang-Chi?
Oh, 100%. Yes. We I mean, I think I showed you like a meme or whatever where I'm gonna put it up on the screen. I don't know how that works as far as like legalities are concerned with memes, but basically it's just a dude stepping up on like the sixth stair, and it just says, and on him it says me after the Loki finale, and then he's stepping over the Eternals, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man, Hawkeye, and just going straight to Multiverse of Madness. No, I think Marvel's good at telling stories. I mean, they've proven themselves time and time again. I think Shang-Chi is going to be huge, and I think it's going to be something that creates another ripple. Like, I think the reason that Feige's putting these movies out is because he's good at it now. I think he's got it now. I think he is going to create a ripple inside of Shang-Chi that is going to culminate, down the road. And I think that all these things are purposely and very organizationally set so that we get some huge payoff at the end, like they've already done with the last 10 years of cinema. So yeah, no, I at this point, I trust them to the point where I'm like, sign me up for a bunch of characters that involve a tree and a fucking cartoon raccoon that I've never really read a comic book about, and I trust you to take me on a wild fucking ride, and that it's going to be good. So yeah, I'm excited about Shang-Chi. I think that they're going to deliver something of quality, whether or not we can anticipate it or not. So yes.
All right. Jason, number 8.
Yeah, I think at this point, Marvel has worked out the kinks. I mean, like it's been a while since we got an Ultron or a Thor: Dark World 2. So, yeah, I think pretty much going this forward that they are setting up things to be in place and are setting up movies to be successful, and not only successful but entertaining as well, which is also great. So yeah, I think I'm pretty excited about what is in store for us, and honestly, I'm pretty excited about seeing like the Young Avengers because they've been hinting at that as well as what the current Avenger team is going to look like in the future. Like who's all going to be on it. They're going to have a Chinese guy or Asian guy on it. It's going to be great. Like an Asian Avenger. That sounds fun. And then, the leader's going to be a black dude with wings. It's going to be great.
And then they're all going to take a back seat when they reintroduce the X-Men.
Yeah. And then everything's going to get turned out the door, and there's going to be straight up nothing but white X-Men.
All mutants all day long.
Yeah. It's going to be, they're going to not even have Storm in that. So, yeah, but I'm excited for the Eternals. I'm excited for Shang-Chi. I'm excited for everything that they're, that's in the future. Because I think they've got their process down. They've got their formula set. I'm as much as you don't like the formula, Jason. I feel like it's a solid piece of kit they got, and I feel like they're going to give us something good for the next however long they're going to continue to make these movies.
I want to bring up one more thing before testifying to the evilness of the big corporation. There's been reports that Disney is no longer signing multi-movie deals with actors, and that happened right when they introduced the multiverse. So I think what they're kind of saying is, listen, we'll just rewrite your character with a different actor, and it's from the multiverse if you don't do what we want or do how we like, or if it comes out that you've abused women or something like that. In the like, we're not stuck with 10 movies worth of you if you're a shitty person, but also we can the negotiating contract negotiation on their end is a little bit more flowing, and you might not get like Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. making a couple $100 million off of Endgame like this happened. So
I wish I could do a couple $100 million for just a few weeks worth of work.
Hey, take the back end off a movie that is going to kill it, and take the gross, not the net. Then you end up with 130 million that Robert Downey took for Endgame.
Or Alex Guinness on
40 million that he gets.
Got 1.5% of whatever George Lucas was making.
I mean, all right. Well, let me jump through all these hoops. Yes, I agree. I mean, it is what it is with Marvel. Regardless if it's going to be shit, you guys are going to say it's good, so it won't really matter. I don't dislike the formula. I dislike the fact that it is a formula when it comes to a creative art form that doesn't have a formula. That's what bothers me about Marvel movies, that the formula is what it is. It guarantees you satisfaction. It's like when you go through your favorite fast food joint, you almost guarantee the Whopper's going to usually 99% of the time, the Whopper's going to taste like a Whopper. That's cool because that's what I came for. I came to go taste the Whopper. As I say, and I don't mind. I just hate the fact that I've grown up with so many different ways. Like if I picked up a Doctor Strange comic, I don't expect it to feel like Spider-Man. But in the Marvel Universe, pretty much. Same story. Doctor Strange, Iron Man, who gives a shit? Same guy, arrogant asshole, figures out a new way, becomes a champion and a hero. It is what it is. And I went to Burger King, I got a Whopper. So I'm not mad about it. I just wish there was a little bit more thought process into trying to do something creative. That's why I love Guardians. That's why I like Ant-Man. I like some of them because it's like, hey, we're trying to feel different than the normal status quo of Marvel. I think all these new ones are going to feel very status quo because this is their new phase one. Let's just call it what it is. So there's a lot of characters in this phase that we're not familiar with. A lot of us aren't familiar with the Eternals. I know I'm damn sure not familiar with Shang-Chi. So we're really going to be building this universe up from like the first step again, introducing these characters and doing it. I think they always do a great job with the character start-offs. Like Iron Man 1, Thor 1, we can go through except for I call it Credible Hulk, not the Incredible. He's the Credible Hulk. Because Ang Lee's one was like the terrible Hulk. So this is just the Credible one. So yeah, like So it's Credible Hulk. I mean, besides that one, which let's be real, if you watch Credible Hulk, it's not terrible.
No,
it just isn't great. Yeah, it just isn't great. Like we won't. But Marvel does a good job. But I think I guess my only fear is that they're biting off more than they can chew, because now you open up to do anything you want to do, and we have because I'm looking at it and go, okay, now they open up a possibility for Secret Wars. You open up a possibility, like we talked about, for Hell Galactus. Well, like you can go almost anywhere at this point. So trying to get a multiverse corralled is a lot harder than one universe. And I think they did a great job with Infinity War and Endgame. Don't get me wrong. It worked like gangbusters. But now you're going to have to do a lot more now, because we have all that history that we got to deal with. Now you're creating new history, and you're doing it with a multiverse, not even in the same universe anymore. It's just a lot. And that's what I only fear, is that it can get, okay, all right, how do we shift these pieces? But the beauty of all this is that even if they fuck this up, because they're so ambitious, we'll still enjoy it. And you know what? A lot of you guys won't give a shit if they fuck it up, because you're going to be like, well, they tried it, and look at all, we got this huge conveying of everybody, and you're going to be like, yeah, and I'm going to be cheering in the theater right along with you, saying what a great job. But
there are people out there that love Justice League, so.
Yes, and that is the beauty of Marvel, that you can literally, you can do this. And even if you miss it, we will still give you points, because we have never seen anything like this before. And the Marvel thing is great. My hate is that other people are trying to emulate it, and it's not as good. Like, we accept a lot of trash Marvel gives us. It's just like off of faith. You haven't built the credibility of a lot of these other franchises to give us stuff on faith. And we're like, I don't know about this. So, but no, kudos to them. But again, I hope this does culminate to a Secret War situation or a Secret Invasion situation, which they've hinted at with Nick Fury being out there with, I guess, Sword, which I'm down to get his sword. I don't think they've ever officially said it, but I'm down to get his sword. It's a lot going on, man. Like, if people even forgot about that storyline that's going on currently.
They said it was
Fury out in space.
They said it was WandaVision.
Yeah, I'm saying, but no one's even talking about that. That's a thing. Yeah, like no one's talking about that. That's a thing. Like, that's still going on. We still got Thor out going with the Guardians. Like, it's a lot going on before we even talk about the multiverse. So that's like the only. It's just a lot going on. So
yeah, we got shit still going on in this universe.
Yeah, right. So if I give you trust, because it's going to be a hell of a move to pull all this, or maybe they don't pull it all together. Maybe some shit that happens out in the universe, a multiverse wars, is only going to deal with the people that are dealing with the multiverse shit, and our regular universe shit is only going to deal with our regular. Maybe that's the move. Who knows? Okay, but I'm gonna be excited to see how they do it and handle it, because I mean, right now they're hitting on everything.
Especially with the Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're gonna, rewrite that real quick, because the next Thor movie is going to be out before the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie, because they fired James Gunn, and then they were like, oh, well, we want you back. So they're going to probably just wash over in the first 15 minutes of the next Thor movie.
Cannot wait for Suicide Squad.
Neither can I.
Or they could pull up, what is it?
James Gunn.
Iron Man 3 move. They could have Thor be telling this story to like Star-Lord when he like leaves the ship for him. I don't know. They figured out creative. Again, Iron Man 3 was a creative way to do it. They're like, oh yeah, he's telling Bruce Banner this fucking story. Like
Thor 3 or 4. I guess it's Thor 4. Love of Thunder is directed by Taika Waititi. He's a great storyteller, so I'm sure he's going to find some clever or at least fun way of making it work for us. And even if he doesn't, we're going to be okay, because whatever he gives us is going to be just probably even better.
He's been on record as saying that he really hopes it's popular, because if not, he'll probably never work again, because he went outside of the box so far. He went so crazy with this one that
he's also pulling off a polyamorous relationship with Rita Wilson and Tessa Thompson.
Yeah.
Like, dude, got some balls on him.
The most likable Hitler I've ever seen in movies.
I love that. Dude, you're right.
When you don't immediately want to kill him and he's dressed as Hitler, you're like, all right, man, you are a very likable person.
Great movie. JJ Rabbit, if you haven't, or Jojo Rabbit, if you haven't seen it, go and see it.
Highly recommend.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we got anything else left on Marvel, Loki? If we hit everything,
I think you guys are giving it a little bit more complex, like a little more like it's not as it's. So when you get a board behind you and you plot out your points that you got to hit in a movie to move the plot along and everything, and you kind of like this is Act 1, this is Act 2, this is Act 3. I mean, I just imagine Kevin Feige's doing the same thing, just instead of doing it with story points, he's doing it with movies. Yeah. So I mean,
that's where you have to realize that most comics and book series, like everything that does this, doesn't get it right. You do know that, right? Like, and he's a smart man, and I'm giving him all credit, but he usually they usually don't get it right, and so but Endgame was all compact to one straightforward storyline. Like it was all on Earth. It was all about this invasion we were getting ready for. It was nothing. All you do was just like. He has things going on everywhere now that, and again, we see it in comic books when they do crossover events. They don't always work out well because they had to juggle so much stuff over so many comic book issues. What's up? What'd you say? I was saying Civil War 2. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. It's a lot. It's again, I say the Marvel we trust, but I think you're simplifying it. They're like, oh, they're just gonna move it like. So a lot of storyboards you moved along.
You're gonna see just like with anything like this, you're gonna see disparate story paths that are all gonna all of a sudden start to come together, and everybody's gonna end up at the same place and time for the finale. That's just how it's gonna be. Regardless of whether it starts,
we're saying is it gonna be good to that point? That's the point we're making. Will it be good to that point?
Well,
that's what we're talking about.
Inward for Nerd will be here to talk about it every step of the way.
We'll let you know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm just glad Abomination's back because who doesn't love Abomination?
I hope Tim Roth gets to be here.
That's
I
a
don't
good
think
point.
they're going to use Tim
I like Tim Roth like a lot. I even watched Lie to Me, which is not that great of a show, but Tim Roth was phenomenal in it. He shoots scenery left, right, and center.
All right. Well, if that is our closing marks, I guess we'll go on to the finish, guys. Thank everybody for listening to the N-Word for Nerd podcast. Again, remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Facebook, all of your DSPs. If you don't know what that means, it means digital service provider or digital listening service. But anyway, your DSPs, please listen to us all there, which is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor FM. We are everywhere. Please tell us what you think. Comment below. Tell us that we don't know what the hell we're talking about. Please comment and let us know that Arnold Schwarzenegger is the best. And regardless of what they think about Dwayne The Rock Johnson, that is foolishness and crazy talk. But we will see you all next time. Jason, any closing words?
Don't follow me in real life because I do shoot first. But please be kind and tip your bartenders and servers.
Oh, Token Jaren, any closing words?
Arnold wasn't the best, and we proved it 2-1. So have a good day.
I for sure won top 3 this week because that's excellent.
You can't just claim yourself the winner. That has to be agreed out of 3 people.
2-1. Nobody will, except for you clowns and 20-year-olds. Nobody else will agree that Dwayne The Rock Johnson is put. Anyway, I'm not going to get started. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you all next week. Peace.